So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What's shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. We have a special guest with us today, my man Darren Moore. This guy is the marketing mind behind some of the biggest artists that ever touched the stage. We're talking Jay-Z, we're talking Jill Scott, Eminem, Nelly Furtado. He's worked with some of the big movie production agencies out there, and we met on Clubhouse not too long ago, and I had to have him on the show because the guy is such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and understanding when it comes to marketing. Darren, what is up, my man?
Hey, can you hear me? Everything's good?
Yeah, dude, you're loud and clear.
I got some construction worker people in the background and another condo or something that's just making tons of noise. So
we got our kitchen being demolished right now. So this was the perfect day to schedule a podcast.
You know. Oh man, glad to be here though.
Darren, I appreciate you so much, man. You know, again, we've been connected on Clubhouse for quite some time now, about 2-3 weeks now, and really resonated with your energy and some of the stuff that you talked about, you know, in these rooms together. I said, I got to have him on the show because he's such a wealth of information. So I got a question for you. How did you break in to the industry and start working with some of the biggest names in the world?
Strange thing. I actually got in, originally I was working with independent artists here in Chicago. And, you know, I got in when I went back to school. I decided to go back to school, and I was in a writing class in school, and somebody says, wow, you know, you would be great to intern over at Universal. I said, yes, I will. You know, I would be great. So I go over there, interview with a guy named Jeff. He's super cool. And, you know, instead of just being an intern permission-based, I'm not a permission-based person. I'm one of those people who are probably the person who is the absolute slogan for "is better to ask for forgiveness than permission." So I took and ran with everything that Jeff gave me, man. And I ran with it towards servicing colleges throughout the, not just in Chicago, but throughout the Midwest. And then I started promoting acts that were like very little known, but they sound awesome. They were incredible people. And I said, man, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. I was always very excited about that sort of thing. So my thing was, let me tell everybody on the face of the earth about this. And after a while, Jeff did this really cool thing. He said, dude, you do know people get paid for that. And I was like, really? It's like, okay, well, what kind of position are you talking? So he gave me this number to a guy named Chris out at Interscope, who was like the head of the entire nation's lifestyle department. And lifestyle means I was the guy who would go and service every place beyond radio and TV. So if you were had a clothing shop or a skateboard shop, or if it was a food or restaurant or one of those funky cafes, I was always in the middle of that, where I was servicing some sort of music, contesting, any kind of special listening parties and everything. Like for LL Cool J, we did this cool listening party for his Grateful Off Time album and that kind of stuff. So I started doing it. And then when I reverse engineered Henry, how the heck that happened, I ended up saying, how did I do that? And I said, whoa, I made my own job because I went out and did it. It wasn't the case that there was a job available because everybody in the industry kept asking me, how'd you get that job? I was like, well, I don't know. I was just doing it. Weren't you doing it? And the people who didn't get the job weren't really doing it. They were like, they were acting like employees, whereas I was moving with it one way or another. I got the job just based upon moving with it, man. Just going out, making it happen.
Man, I love it. I'm getting a little static. Do you hear the little static going on when you talk?
Oh no, I hope not, man. I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure there is no static. Maybe it's this plug in. How about now? Can you hear me a little better?
Yeah.
Still static.
Keep going.
Okay, 1, 2, 3 is Darren Monroe right here.
Yeah, it's a little staticky still, but let's see if we can barrel through it, because I don't want to lose momentum. But so let me ask you this: you've worked. How did you start working with the bigger names like Jay-Z and Eminem? Your mentality is very much like mine, where I will ask for forgiveness before I ask permission, and I'm more of a, but how'd you get in those rooms? Like, people want to know, like, whoo.
Okay. Well, let me first keep it very humble for you, because I was part of a very big marketing crew and a marketing staff working through Universal and working through Universal Distribution. So it wasn't like I was sitting right next on the couch with Jay-Z or with Eminem. Their offices did call me up many times. I knew David Dash just professionally, but I did know his brother a lot more, because we did a lot more office work together. Same thing with the Roots, whereas I worked with Miyoshi and Watching Back Management, and I worked with the regionals who worked on their projects, from the late great Ron Scott to people like Maurice White out of MCA, and some other great people out of Universal. So I worked with a lot of their major reps nationwide and everything. And the reason I got in is, again, just like I explained before, it was getting in where I just happened to talk. And when I got into the door and I was actually promoting, next thing you know, people were noticing me. Case in point, Eminem's people reached out to me to create a whole flyer campaign and everything for them, because they put all the money. Well, no, they said they put all the money in radio. I mean, this is Interscope. They had the money. But I was like hungry. So I was like, yeah, whatever you guys need. See, that's the thing. If you didn't know how to do it, you tell them you didn't know how to do it, Henry. You just went and did it. So my thing was, I went out, they were like, do you know how to put together flyers? I didn't know anything about putting together Adobe Photoshop. That's how I learned. I went out to Kinko's and I was there putting together flyers, putting it together, and they were getting a radio airplay, and we did a lot of promotions that way. So I got noticed by Eminem's business people. I would meet him later, but it was like I got noticed by key people who work with these top artists, because they saw not only my passion and enthusiasm and the emotion that I had in there, but the willingness to be creative. That was the other thing that got me in the door. I was the guy you sat in the room and you just started, coming up with ideas that people could use to promote and market themselves. I was that guy.
That's a good guy to be next to. I'll tell you that right now.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I noticed that was innovation is what got me there, because I thought everybody thought of that. Everybody had ideas and stuff, and turns out they didn't. So people were always looking for fresh ideas. That's what got me over to iHeart Media after working labels. Back then they called it Clear Channel, because all I was the idea guy to do the proposal for 90% of the brands in the United States.
Wow. I got so many more questions for you, my man. We got to take a quick break. We will be right back after this message from our sponsor. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, so we're going to get into some personal branding stuff, because I wanted to ask you, while I got you here today, how important personal branding is to influencers of such caliber, right? Because personal branding is such a hot topic nowadays. Everybody's building one. Everybody's trying to stand out, but it's like the blind leading the blind. So you've worked with so many influencers and influential people in your past. What would you say some of the key attributes that really stuck out to some of these artists really moved you and connected you to them on a deeper level?
Well, that connected me to them or connected them to their audience.
Well, both. I would love to explore both because I think what you're about to say, people that are watching and listening are going to be like, aha, I could take that nugget, I could take that nugget and apply it.
Okay, well, here's my definition of a brand. It's a promise, pledge, commitment. It's what you stand for and stand against. And the core of that is that if you can do that as a person and as a business, you can look deeper into the fact that what is it that you're for and against? I mean, everybody loves Steve Jobs. If Wozniak had been all due respect, and I think he knows this, if he had been the person behind Apple, it wouldn't have worked because his approach was more technical from the computer edge, and he's a genius and all respect to him. But Steve Jobs made a vision for the world, and he connected people on what he stood for and what he was passionate about and what you're passionate against. If you're passionate about everything and you're in the middle of the road, you're not going to stand out, and you're going to be mediocre. The goal is not to compete, is to contrast. You need to contrast in your marketplace, immediately show people we're not them. And so one of the things that stood out for me professionally was that I was the guy always coming up with ideas, even when they weren't asking for them. So when 50 Cent had his album coming out, Get Rich or Die Trying, I was the guy who was hitting them with a ton of ideas at Interscope that ended up saving that album, because the reality is that they needed some way to get people to the retail stores when bootleg copies were being sold, when digital downloads they were dealing with. This is 2002. And what I ended up doing was giving them a series of ideas that they could bring, of collectible DVDs that they could offer to people in Best Buy and to Walmart, which was their largest customers. That made them stand out. Now that's a big way. There's another group of two ladies named Jazzy Fat Nasties who the MCA had asked about. They're over in the Roots Crew circle and the Jaguar Wright circles and all of the hot Philly artists that were coming out of there. They were super hot. They were in the Jill Scott circles, though they were on MCA and Jill was on Hidden Beach. So they're trying to figure out ways to promote them. And I hit them with a whole presentation of everything they should do. And the fact that even though they did not take that promotional on from that point on, Eddie Barreto out of LA, from people from LA to New York knew my name in MCA, because I brought a presentation that was unlike anybody else's. I went big, I went strong, I went long with this, and it stood out for me. Now, for artists, the takeaway from that is this: you need to make sure that you stand out with your innovation and find something that you love and something you're against. There have been projects I've argued against and said, listen, I understand you want me to do harder promotion on this. I get the politics behind it, but this artist is not resonating with either this market or with that crew, and it's not going to work. So I've always given them the honest truth. So what am I for? I'm for telling people about artistry and loving it and going all out and strong with passion and emotion. What am I against? Again, going to that brand, I'm totally against the promotion of things that I know people don't resonate with. I'm not going to push stuff at people that they don't like and, do it for the sake of the company. And that got me more notoriety and trust in the college radio market and in the DJ market, because they know when I was telling them, listen, this is really hot, I'm not telling them that same old bull that all the other reps might come at them with, just trying to push the product, because I knew it was something I absolutely believed in. Now, regarding the artists, the coolest things I've ever seen artists do is connect with their fans and don't forget them. Do what you got to do. Don't worry about being aloof or looking thirsty as an artist. If you're an artist, and the same thing goes for entrepreneurs, Henry, go all out for them. I'm the guy that's deep in my DMs on Instagram after all of this Clubhouse stuff is blown up, because I'm like, listen, I know in there, not only is there business and leads, but there's an ability to build your brand. I'm sitting there talking. Next thing you know, I'm on the phone with somebody who's working on Al Pacino's film. And I had no idea who they were, but it's like, boom, they're awesome. And I'm like, but your brand is everything. Your brand is what you stand by, what you stand for, stand against. And remember this, the purpose of a brand is to evoke an emotional connection with your target market in a way that makes everybody else look, basically eliminate 100% of the marketplace. And the only way you're going to do that is talking about, I love it and I don't like it, and being real with them about it and speaking from that level. So there are artists who win in the middle of pandemics, who win in the middle of, they can't, when other artists can't get money, the artists who are winning are the ones who are connecting with their fans, their people. Same thing goes for entrepreneurs. How many people are you liking and commenting on their Instagrams? How many people are you reaching out saying, ha ha, I got love for you? Or when their mom dies, reach out and connect with them saying, hey, I got love for you. Whatever you can do on that level is going to make you stand out. That's how you become a brand. You speak with passion, emotion, you care and give a darn about people, and you speak from that area. So from a professional standpoint to artists who've been able to pull that off, that's great. It's one thing to have talent. It's another thing to have compassion. You have that compassion, you're going to stand out. You always have people follow you religiously.
Oh, that's powerful stuff. So here's my next question. What was the biggest blunder you ever seen in the industry?
Underestimating the market share in the industry. There was this elephant in the room that I've been in since the late 90s, and that was the digital. We could handle digital. There was an arrogance that we could handle digital. I was in a room full of vice presidents who told me that they had this digital way to protect CDs and nothing would happen with digital, and all of them lost their jobs within 5 years. The idea is that the biggest blunder is thinking that taking your market for granted, trying to charge at your market when the disruptor of the industry happens. Instead of charging at the leaders of change, you should be leading the charge for change and getting on the end of that. Same thing goes for films. A lot of film people getting their feelings about this whole streaming stuff because Warner Brothers decided this year to put out all of their films on HBO Max. And that's a very touchy conversation, a taboo conversation in Hollywood, because they are mad that they did that. Nothing they can really do because Warner Brothers is owned by AT&T, and they got rid of all of the film people and said, listen, we're trying to make some money here with $200 million in the hole. You can talk all this artistry stuff you want to. We're in an age now where people are streaming. And I personally believe that they're right from that. Because it is what it is. Change the game. When the game changes, go change with it. Stop trying to keep things the same when people are not showing up in theaters. When AMC is going from $40 a share to $3, and they were thinking already before the pandemic, that should tell you the market's changing. So the biggest blunders I see is that when they see some change, they're not making the smart moves. Live Nation has only recently started buying hotels and other things to make up for its money, but everybody didn't want to change. If you don't change with the times, you're in trouble. It's the same thing I talked with people about on Clubhouse. Run like crazy to do as much as you can early with that. But who knows? Clubhouse may be a memory. By the time you get to your 1000th episode podcast, we'll be like, Club who? But what you should get out of it is the relationships like me and you connecting. The big blunders in the film, in the music industry, and among entrepreneurs is not taking the change, the shift seriously. If you don't take it seriously, it's going to take you seriously for a ride to bankruptcy.
That is powerful stuff. That is powerful stuff. I have some more questions for you that I think will help our audience tremendously. You said you were the idea guy. You were the one that had the ideas when everybody was running on E. Right? Their tanks were empty with ideas. So how did you get those ideas flowing? How did that manifest?
I was born with it. I was always one of those guys who came up with ideas for things. And I always tried to figure out what was the angle that we could approach on things. Case in point, I met another person through Clubhouse, and he had this great song called Stop Playing With Me. And it's a hit. It's a real hit. And he's out of Jersey, and he's a nice young man. He's got good people behind him. I said, listen, you guys need to go out and make some and produce some playing cards. You're catering to the hip hop audience. Everybody's playing some spades, or they playing some bid whist, or they playing some cards. I said another thing people play is dominoes. You need to go and get them some domino sets where you do that and connect with that. So the whole idea, they were like, whoa, we hadn't thought of that. I said, yeah, another thing you need to do is do what I specialize in, is help people with their emails, create micro subscriptions. I'm like, you need to create that where you're getting paid off your followers instead of just waiting on a Spotify check. You know, so the whole idea is you need to get creative outside the box, because if you don't eat. It's the difference between the bank and bankruptcy. So the ideas always came from me, just off the top of my head. I mean, the biggest thing you want to think about when you're generating ideas like this is, what is it that they're not doing? That's what made Einstein so smart. I'm not calling myself Einstein, but even Einstein wasn't Einstein. All he did was work at the patent office and saw everybody's ideas going by. All Einstein was the first remixer. You know, he was the remixer. He basically took the ideas that he saw and got ideas from himself. So he really wasn't a creator. He was an innovator. So the idea is to be the innovator off of things that are already there. That's a no-brainer deal. It only makes sense that people do it. I mean, Clubhouse is so popular right now anyways, because they did what? All they did was take conference calls, Henry, and put it on a smartphone. It's conference calls on a smartphone. All Uber is livery services other than cabs on a smartphone. Livery services been around for 100 years. That's why a lot of people missed out on it. They were like, okay, another livery service, whatever. Then, you know, even Gary Vee said he missed out on it. He said he would have had 8-9 figures out of this using that with Uber. How did he miss it? Because he'd seen livery services before, but it was with a smartphone. So you could take the combination of the old school with the new and turn it into something, you know, that grows for you. When you want to create ideas, start thinking at what everybody else is doing and how you can be the opposite. Think about Starbucks. Starbucks isn't really that much new. They're basically mass franchise cafes. What they decided to do is a place you can sit at and chill. Instead of donuts, have pastries. Instead of having extra large, you got venti. Instead of having just regular coffee, now you got some, you know, coffee with the ground beans, and you can smell the beans, and it's from such and such country, Colombia, fresh from there, and from, you know, different places, and make this, and here you go, and we're going to sell this, and it's going to be $5. We're going to dress it up real nice, $5, and you're going to pay for the coffee. It's totally different from everything else. Why? They took the old idea of giving coffee, the old idea of selling pastries and donuts, and turned it into something. They just flipped it and remixed it. Everybody listening to this, you can do the same darn thing. That's it.
One of our live listeners, Joshua Easter, he's picking up the gems you're dropping, and he said, old school concept combined with new can make something grow for you. We got my man Bob Boniel say, Uber, it's not just a delivery service. Uber also invented the biz model of giving normal peeps an opportunity to generate cash by piling on via Uber X. Uber Black kicked the door open, but it blew up when they reinvented the model. Yeah, you remember the old limousine days? How much it costs to get an Escalade to pick you up, and now you could do it with 2 clicks and it's $18.
Simple. And the interesting part about that is that normal people had a chance to make cash during the delivery service, but it wasn't mass franchise. Cafes had a chance, and they still have a chance. You know, Starbucks says their number one competitor is cafes. Cafes had a chance to make cash on a major level, but all they did was created the McDonald's of cafes and turned it into Starbucks.
Yeah. We got Darren is dialed in. A rogue marine business advisor says, I love the notion of remixing it. It's finding the gaps. Yeah, absolutely. I love when the live listeners tune in and they drop some comments and questions. We could take some questions if you'd like while we still have Darren available. You know, Bob also says, leverage the new platform to disrupt, then turn on rocket engines by shifting the business model. Very, very important stuff here. So I got some questions. I got some more questions for you. What's the part of your life experience? Well, we're going to switch it up a little bit. What's the part of your life experience you would alter if you had the chance to?
I know this sounds strange, especially since 2 months ago, I turned 50, but I don't think I would change anything. It would make me different if I had different experiences. So if I wanted, I mean, obviously we all think about death in the family and you don't want to have that experience, but it's something that shaped me. We think about me being born as a kid with cataracts and had to go through 8 operations. I would certainly like to change that, but if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be as tough as I was growing up as the overweight kid with thick glasses. I'm wearing contacts now, right now, but the whole idea is that I remember that experience, but I realized how God really led me to believe how important it was to have that experience, because it made me stronger and it made me stand up twice as much. And I may not have done that if I had been just treated as the average kid or someone else, instead of becoming the outlier that I am and being proud of it. So the experiences, I don't think I would change. I mean, after I went, I got fired from Universal from that job with a whole bunch of other people nationwide because of that whole digital download stuff. So I ended up working a regular job for about 1.5 years, and then I ended up working over at Clear Channel, now known as iHeart Media, in New Orleans. And that was an experience that I would never take away. It was good, bad, and the ugly and everything we do, but it makes us who we are. It's not what happens to us, is what we plan on doing about it and being able to get through it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Another question for you. What are you most excited about right now with work? And what's keeping you up at night?
Yeah, because I don't sleep. Here's the thing. I love what I do. I think the most exciting thing, and the thing I'm telling entrepreneurs, podcasters, artists, I'm telling creative people, is that your time is now. Wrapped in this pandemic and crisis that's happened in every single way you can describe a crisis that happened in the previous year. You can come out of this a win. And the win for all of you is that now more than ever, you have a chance to control your destiny, not only your artwork, but the money that you earn online that you control. There are no gatekeepers in this game anymore, and they try to act like the gate's there, but it's like holding a 10-foot gate in the middle of the ocean. Good luck with that. The whole point is that it doesn't happen. Instead of trying to go after all the big companies I work with or the big stars or so on, leverage that. The idea that there are influencers right now who like makeup and they have multi-million-dollar businesses, or the idea that there are artists right now doing 30 grand a month without Spotify, or they get some Spotify checks, but they're not dependent on it. They laugh at it. They eat with it, take the kids out for whatever with it. And the idea that there are creative artists, if you're meaning painters, the painters are doing 6-figure businesses instead of barely $10,000 a year, is real. Because the reason it's real is because, one, there are 4 billion people online. I'll say it again. There are 4 billion people online. There's enough money for everybody listening to my voice right now to do 6 and 7 figures. You just don't know how. And I'm excited at the fact that you don't need the gatekeepers. I can tell an artist that you don't need to have the 100% distribution this way, or depend. Let's say you do get the distribution. You don't have to depend on them. Their ability for you to control your own sources of revenue so that you can live the life doing what you want, when you want, where you want, however long you want, with whomever you want. And the lie that's out there is that you're supposed to have that same narrative as an old artist or as an old entrepreneur following. I'm excited because I'm telling entrepreneurs, I'm telling every creative person who wants to run their own destiny, control their money, is stop listening to society, because society, every country around the world, has taught us to be working for other people instead of working for yourself. I told them to stop listening, start checking the toxic people around you, surround you. Yes, that includes the people you might be in your very home with. Love them from a distance mentally, and everybody else mentally. Think about how they make you feel every time you talk to them. If you feel bad, if you feel in any way negative, then that should really make you question it, and you should begin to become unavailable around them. It's like a vulture in outer space. It doesn't exist because your environment changes. And the final part of that is start checking what you say to yourself. You are awesome. You are incredible. I'm excited to work with people who are excited and talented, and there's no way in the world you should earn less than your very best, because you're more valuable than you think. That's what keeps me up, that I tell people 3 a.m. that you're going to make it. You're going to make it. You're going to do this because God didn't bring you this far just to leave you here. You're going to make it. You think all of this talent happened to you just so you could live like this and listen to other people? Listen, there are a lot of people who are suffering out there who need you, who need to hear you. If you are an artist, you're selling emotion, whether it's painting, sculptors, or music. If you're an entrepreneur, you're changing people's lives in every little way. It's not the fact that I sold 100,000 products, programs, and services since 2005 that matters from a FEMA paid for hotel where I started out running away from Hurricane Katrina. What matters most is that I was able to touch tens of thousands of people's lives that I'll never ever see and put great karma out there. It's like the old Ralph Waldo Emerson saying, to know that one life has succeeded to know that one life has breathed easier is to have succeeded. And that's the exciting part right now that I keep up and keep talking passionately about, because you're more valuable than you think. And there's no way in the world you need to be listening to the world, because the world doesn't know. They've been trained the wrong way. It's not their fault. They mean well, but it's a bad turnout. So I'm up in the middle of the night just talking to creative people who are trying to figure out how to pay their rent. I'm like, why? You're incredible. There's no reason in the world you can't give up on you. And they're too busy listening to the wrong people, Henry, and too much of the wrong society. And it breaks my heart, and I stay up just telling them, don't give up.
Man, that is beautiful, D. I really appreciate you today, man. And always, you know, when we connect, it's always a pleasure. And I don't believe in coincidences, man. I believe that you and I connected for a reason, and I am so grateful for it, man. I want to give you a huge virtual hug. Like, no lie. Like, you, right? Like, you are a beautiful soul, man. And I am so happy that you came on the show today and just dropped some bombs. I mean, you're going to have to listen to, guys, I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to listen to this one twice, maybe 3 times, because he was going so fast I couldn't highlight half the stuff. But I know that second and third time around you listen to this episode, you're going to hear it and it's going to sink in. And Darren's going to move you with what he said. And just, I appreciate you, man, so much. And I can't wait to continue to build with you on Clubhouse and beyond and beyond.
And beyond, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you for even letting me come on here and speak here and touch other people's lives in any way that I can. And thank you for the compliment. You know, I'm a cussing Christian, so I say it like this without cussing. I'll say that the blessing is mine, but the glory is His. So I give that to God in every way in which I've been able to touch and help other people, and know the fact that, you know, regardless of what's going on and what you're dealing with all of the crisis that's wrapped up right now, or there's always going to be a new crisis. You just got to keep moving. Keep stepping and keep touching lives. Keep loving on people in the best way you can, in the greatest intentions. And karma, you know, is both a B and a blessing. You know what the other B is. And the idea is that you can do and you can come back and you can come up. But the whole idea is that you got to be willing in your heart, in your place, to know and live in your passion, serve others. And money is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's this hang up with people who are like, oh, I don't want to be pitched. Well, listen, if somebody's pitching me something in the middle of a restaurant, you know, and they're saying, would you like tires? I'm like, no. But would they ask, if they're pitching me, would you like dessert from your meal? Of course. So targeting your people matters, and monetization matters. There's a lot of creative people who are probably listening to this right now, and you don't realize your monetization matters. It's a good thing. It's great to give free. We give tons of value. But it's another thing to just underestimate yourself. You're more valuable than you think. Thank you, Henry.
You're very welcome. And we have one more comment from a live listener, Joshua Easter. Great interview, Henry. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, Darren. So appreciate you, Joshua, for watching us live and tuning in live. Darren, once again, thanks again for just being you and dropping some bombs today. Where can people go to learn more about you and to get more into your world?
Well, the simplest way, and I'm actually, ironically, since we're recording this, you might say, well, Darren, where's the sign up? Because I actually changed it over my sign up because there was some logistical issues. But if you go to DarrenMonroe.com, my name, DarrenMonroe, I promise you there will be a sign up back up inside of a couple of hours. But yeah, you can go over there and connect up with me. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're an artist or podcaster, if you're creative, I'll have a list for each one of you to sign up over there. I help a lot of people in that area, you know, so be able to get that. You can always find me on all social medias, but the point is this, you definitely want to, you know, get in touch and hear the real deal. directly over at the site, because me and Henry both believe in owned media just as much as the social and the shared one. So yeah, that's where you go.
Guys, go check him out. It's darrenmonroe.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Simple as that. So, guys, I'm telling you right now, go rewatch it. Go rewatch this, re-listen to it, and take some notes and go apply some of the stuff that Darren mentioned today. He's a rock star and really knows what he's talking about. And I can promise you, if you apply one or two of the gems that he dropped today, you're going to be way better off than you are right now. So have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon.